Hi family, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Dominique Davis, also known as Brown and Bindi, and here on this channel we practice flexibility of the mind, the body, and the spirit. It's come to my attention that I still am not great at attracting people who are at my expectations as far as relationships go. And at this stage in my life, I have grown a lot. I no longer attract people from like that spectrum of like people who are really for me and then people who are really fake and not for me. But at this stage in my life, I still attract people who have genuine love for me, but they're still not on my wavelength of the quality of love that I expect in my life. So there's been a lot of growth in that area. But at the same time, when I have been studying this for so long, I had to ask myself, how did I get here? How do I keep arriving at this place? And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today, because I know that if it's something I'm struggling with, I'm sure other people are struggling with it. The relationships in our lives are supposed to be a reflection of God's love for us. We are not supposed to dilly-dally with people who are lukewarm, because that's a distraction, and life is not something that we should be taken for granted. Life is not something that should be taken for granted, not a single moment, not a single day. So the people that we spend our time with should be a reflection of God's love for us. And what is so beautiful about that is that the people who love you correctly, the people who love you with an open heart and don't love you circumstantially, those people are physical manifestations of God's love for you. So when you surround yourself with those people, you're surrounding yourself with physical manifestations of God, and that's a truly magical existence, and that is the existence that I'm aiming for, and I'm sure if you're watching this video, you're aiming for. And this also isn't to say that friends don't mess up. This isn't to say that people don't get into arguments or disagreements, but I think that there's a vibrational level of self-hatred that exposes itself in a lot of relationships, and that's really the black bottom line of what I'm talking about today. So I think the first thing that I would like to say is that we have to make sure that our relationships are not a band-aid, that we are not seeking relationships with people because we are afraid or because we're running from our own self-development and our own darkness. Because if we use another person as a band-aid and that person leaves us, or that person hurts us, or for some reason we need to distance ourselves, that means the band-aid is gone. It has been ripped off. And now it's your responsibility to figure out in that one moment, yes, why this relationship didn't work out, and also to figure out all of the emotional wounds that that person was holding together. And I think that this often exposes itself in our friendships, where the dependency and the codependency within the relationship, just, it's not healthy. And I highly suggest looking into attachment styles. For this video, I did research attachment styles, but I'm not a psychiatrist, so I'm not going to play a role here. I'm just going to be myself and speak to you. But I highly do suggest that you look into attachment styles, because if you feel like you've fallen into the pattern of using others as a band-aid, understanding attachment styles may be a big help for you. The thing is that our partners and our friendships, they should complement us. So we're not necessarily looking to be around people who are clones of us, or people who people who parrot everything that we say, right? We want people who we can pour into, but also people who pour into us. And in order to have an individual pour into you, you have to have the ability to put your ego down and to say, I need this, I need help, I need your softness, and I need to be soft so that I can receive. And oftentimes when we attract people who are at the level that we are at, with as far as that process goes. So if you're not a person who can openly say, I need help, you will attract people who never want to give help. If you are a person who is always saying, I need, instead of doing for yourself, you will attract enablers, right? So when it comes to understanding that our relationships should always complement our personalities, it's important to know that there's a balance in that complement. There's not a person who should be elevated above in the relationship. Both people are at the same exact level. That love is equal, but that does not mean that both personalities are identical. And when you look at your relationships, I think that it's really important to check in on that balance, because checking in on that balance is what allowed me to come back to reality and realize that some of my relationships still do need cleaning up. And let's be honest about that fact. I'll be cleaning up relationships for the rest of my life, because people continuously evolve, continuously grow, and it's not necessarily anyone's responsibility to stay the same so that relationships can stay intact. So I don't really even know what I'm talking about with I'm surprised that I am still cleaning up relationships, because it's a lifelong process. The last point that I want to touch on is the point of picture perfect relationships. Now, when you think of your friend group, when you think of your partner, what comes first? Do you think of their personality and your love for them? Or do you think of the illustration of that person? Do you think of how that person looks, how that person dresses, and how attractive they are, where they live, the job that they have, the places that they go? Do you think of the essence of that person, or do you think of the material value of that person? It is so dangerous, and I'm so grateful, because I think this is something that comes with being a theater kid and going to school for theater. I was always kind of a geek, and that's something I say very proudly. I think that there's a lot of intellect that comes with being a geek sometimes, but I never had that illusion of my friend group should look a certain way, because when you do something like theater, and I'm sure there are a lot of other different activities, but for me personally, when you do something like theater, you are surrounded by so many people from different backgrounds, and you know, you can't really predict what your family is going to look like, you know? And that being said, with adult life and with our chosen friends, it's really important to know whether you pick people because you think they complement the illustration of the life that you're creating, because that's poisonous and that is shallow. To be friends with a person because they look good. Do you remember squad goals? Do you remember like when the people you were around, like the pictures that you would take and the way you would look in your section of the club? Like that was something that was so highly valued in our culture, like literally right before the pandemic. So the reason why that is so poisonous is because there's no substance there. You're not creating relationships based off of soul connections. You're creating relationships based off of ego, based off of desired identity, because honestly, not even who you truly are, it's who you want to be. And what is worse than being an opportunist and making friends with people because you want your life to look a certain way, you want your life to feel a certain way, and that's why you're becoming friends with people? That is a waste of everybody's time, especially yours. If you are continually attracting people who are shallow and only seem to want you for material reasons, you have to ask yourself, well, why did I want to be friends with that person? Did I want to be friends with that person because I really dug their vibe and I really connected with them? Or did I want to be friends with that person because I thought that, you know, I could go out to restaurants with them, I could go to the club with them, I could take pictures with them? And on an even deeper level, our romantic relationships. I'm not saying love is blind. I think that our partners, you know, we are attracted to what we are attracted to, but I think attraction, physical attraction is very, very important. So I'm not saying love is blind, but when we look for romantic partners that only fit the illusion of the life that we are trying to create, so not for love, not for connection, but he has a beard, he's tall, what else, he got money, he got lots of money, he comes from this family, he has this job, like all of that, Do not get me wrong, financial stability is important. I really hope that like we're reading between the lines here. I'm not saying that you date someone without a job. I'm not saying that you date someone who doesn't shower. You know what I'm saying, okay? So that being said, when we look for a partner based on those very surface level things that do not really associate with that individual's character, it's just like that illusion, that illustration of the person, not illusion, that was the wrong word, the illustration of the person. If that's all that we're looking for, then when it comes down to matters where the chemistry matters and the connection matters, when it's time to assess that, then you will find that there's an emptiness. It's not real. And what is worse than spending days, weeks, months, years connected to someone based on surface level physical things and there's no real connection there? And what's even worse than that is that our romantic partners are, again, supposed to complement us. And that complementing is what leads to our growth, because a lot of times we attract romantic partners if you have a secure attachment. If you do that research on the attachment styles, if you have a secure attachment, a lot of times we attract partners who complement us in ways where we are insecure, who complement us in ways where in areas of our lives that we have to grow. And in a very healthy way, our partners encourage growth within us. But when we look for partners that only look good on paper but have nothing to do with how our soul feels, we don't attract the partner that encourages growth. Instead, we attract the partner that keeps us comfortable. And again, huge waste of time. So I hope that you give yourself permission to have friendships and romantic relationships that feel like God in your life. Being able to look into my husband's eyes and see Christ. Yes, I see Christ in my husband, and it is a beautiful thing. Being able to look at your partner and to see God in them, non-negotiable. It is non-negotiable. If you see the enemy in your partner, I mean, that can tell you some things, right? If your partner or if your friends make you feel a specific vibration that does not feel like God, that is clear messaging to you. These things are not coincidences. These things in life are not just, to be ignored or paid attention to when it's convenient. Like, no, God is constantly giving us information about the people in our lives to let us know if they're there for us or if they're there to work against us. And sometimes the people who are there to work against us, they say the right things, and they can really look and play the part very, very well. And that's why it's so important to have a connection to yourself, to God, and also to have integrity with your standards and your boundaries, because you deserve to have friendships and relationships that are reliable, trustworthy, loyal, and you deserve to be loved for you, unconditionally. All right, well, that's all I have for today. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up so other people on the channel know that it's valuable. Also, if you'd like me to expand on any of this, let me know down in the comment box. Thank you, patrons. I love you so much. I appreciate you so much. And yeah, make sure that you're subscribed, that you click that notification bell so you can be notified when I come out with a new video. See you later.